All right, thanks everyone. Like you said, I'm Mike Spicer, aka Dark Matter, on the interwebs. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Metasploit. How many of you guys are familiar with Metasploit Framework? How many of you are experts in Metasploit Framework? Really? I would say some of you that raise your hand are probably experts. Let's go ahead and grab on the next one here. Just to start off, I have a bachelor's in computer science. I graduated from Southern Utah University. Any SUU alums? Yeah, no. Yeah, it's cool. I graduated with 2 guys in my graduating class of computer science guys, so it's all good. Sometimes I get paid to hack stuff, but all the time I like to hack stuff. I hang out with the DC801 group. Anybody know the DC801 guys? You should check it out. It stands for DEF CON 801. It's a localized group of like-minded security individuals. Been hanging around with them for a little while. It's been fun. I've got a long history with the Linux system. I love Nix. Just recently I converted to Mac, as I see we have a large number of Mac fans in here. Finally I was able to afford it. I regularly compete in capture the flag competitions, kind of like the hacker challenge that's going on across the hall. I love doing those. They're really fun. It's fun to find little nuances. It's fun to bend the rules and sometimes even break the rules. One other note I want to plug real quick is DEF CON qualifier starts next weekend. So it's open to the public. Go check it out. It's legitbs.org. The Legit Business Syndicate is going to be running it. So they did a pretty decent job last year.
We're going to have a meeting. Anyone's welcome to come. We're all working on it as a group.
Oh, cool. So Nima said that at the Hackerspace, it's open for anyone who wants to come try to help out and work on it, open door.
Hackerspace, is it the one here in Orem?
The one in Salt Lake.
One in Salt Lake. It's pretty cool. The qualifier, you have to qualify for it, or once you qualify, then you go to DEF CON to do the actual Capture the Flag challenge, and it's kind of like the Super Bowl of hacker challenges. It's pretty prestigious. Last year, Plaid Parliament of Poning out of, what is it, Cornell? No. Carnegie Mellon, thank you. Were the guys that won. They've had a good showing at a lot of other CTFs. I'm definitely not as good as those guys, but I definitely enjoy it. I'm a good pretender.
Just FYI, the DEF CON quals are actually not starting on the 16th, we're actually starting on the 17th.
I thought it was 16th at 6 p.m. Friday, 6 p.m., right? Is that 16th or is that Thursday?
17th.
I suck at dates. 17th, I will update that. Check out the Legit BS. It's legitbs.org, right? .net. Excuse me. All right. So let's get started. So first off, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer. Don't do stuff you're not supposed to do. Don't be chaotic evil, be lawful evil. Any D&D fans in here? Yes, these tools do real damage, and they can do even worse real damage. So don't be dumb. Don't blame me because you're giving up all of your rights by listening to me in this room. It's a verbal contract. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure it holds. Any names or references or things in this presentation are fictional and are not real or any other person. Okay, so we got a couple more warnings. Who knows what exploits are? Exploits are bad, right? So in this case, we're going to be running exploits against different computers. Most exploits work by finding a manipulation or a crash in a thread or process and then inject something into that crash. So yeah, bad things will happen. So part of this is I want you guys to give me a little bit of grace here. If something doesn't go as planned, as expected, I'm doing some live demonstration right in the Metasploit framework as we go through this. And sometimes you run exploit. May work one time, may not work another time. So we're just going to try our best. We'll try rerunning stuff if it doesn't execute as we want it. So hopefully we can get through this and the demo gods will be with us, I hope. Okay, so basic Metasploit. I sent out a couple tweets that said, come armed with Metasploit. Who here is armed with Metasploit? We got one. Everyone crowd around that one, 2 computers. Crowd. All right, we'll have to share mine. I I tried to, when I was making up the slides, I tried to do a pretty good job of anywhere you see the red MSF, that's the Metasploit Framework console terminal prompt. And so things beyond that are going to be commands that you should be able to copy and paste minus some other variables we'll insert. So I also used the braces to indicate that we're going to put a variable in there. So in the first example, we have help, and then we'll put a command. So that's the basic of Metasploit. You can ask all sorts of questions by just asking for help. Some more commands is if there's some command doesn't give you help by saying help command, then you'll have command, whatever it is, and then the -h. So it works the other way. So real quick, let me drag over Metasploit into this other window that is not to the wait, is it? Yeah, just didn't refresh. Maybe. Oh, I know why. This is full screen. And full screen wins, I guess, when you, no? There it is. Ah, it was hiding. Okay, does everyone see that good? Do you have, everyone see that pretty well? No? No? Dude? Sorry. All right, that's MetaCortex. He's a DC801er. Anyways, so in here, we'll load up the Metasploit. I was already playing around with some things earlier, so that way we can be ready. I'm just going to go ahead and exit and clear a session. And come back in real fast. It might be faster just to jump over here. Oh, there we go. All right, so in Kali Linux, how many of you guys have ran Kali Linux? All right, fair number of you. Kali Linux live distribution, it comes preloaded with Metasploit Framework. I found a couple of nuances with that are maybe some notes you might want to take down if you get hung up on some problems that I found. One of the things that's crazy is Kali Linux does not start with Postgres enabled by default. And of course, the Metasploit framework by default relies on Postgres. So that's one thing you've got to do. You've got to start that service. And then also the Metasploit framework service doesn't get started by default. And so you've got to start that service too, or else you run into some problems with database not being connected. So what that would look like is if we came over here to this terminal, you just do service, and then we'd do the Postgres maybe, server, service, Postgres, and then start. And then you can just do and. I'm a huge command line guy, so if any of this looks foreign, and just means after the first one's successful, the second one goes.
Can you make it bigger?
I would love to make it bigger.
Dude, you can do command ++. Oh, I guess you're in Kali.
Yeah, sorry. I'm being tricky. Is that more? Good in the back? Good? Okay, so down here I just have service Postgres start, and then I would have service Metasploit start. And if I run both of those commands, then it's going to start. It's going to say everything's okay, should be good. And we'd be good to rock our framework. So now that we're back in here, we can verify that we've got our status by db status, just make sure that we're connected and everything's good. So we're connected, so we're ready to start playing. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at the a couple of different, the help. That's where we were at in the slides. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. We're going to do help. So help, and then we don't know what commands to do. How many of you guys use Linux pretty fluently, or Mac does it as well, the command line? Basically, in that, you can use tab. I love tab complete, was the best thing that was ever created. So, and they use it in this as well. So I typed help, and if you just hit tab twice, it will create a menu of all the options that we have there. So we can look at the different commands. For this demo, probably some of the key ones that we're going to be doing is we'll be looking at show. We're going to be looking at let's see here, use. We're going to be looking at, let's see, show, use, and others as we see fit. So those ones right now. So just for an example of how this help works, we're just going to do help and use. And then it just gives us a description of what's going on with that. And then real quick, we'll jump over to another command, like, for example, use-h. Man, it seems to be a little laggy. I apologize. Man, Demos. Oh, see, use has the help first, so it will give us that error. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. All right. Let's go back over here real quick. A couple of things that we've got to get through and note about Metasploit that's kind of a little bit of a learning curve is kind of how the directories are structured. Some of the you can get lost in the information that's stored if you can't find it. And that was one of the most difficult things for me to begin with when I started learning the Metasploit framework, is how it's laid out, how the structure is, and how do I get to exploits, how do I get to actually making an attack, how do I get root on a box. And at first, you got to understand some of these basic principles. So one of them is this Metasploit Framework directory. As far as it is on Kali, you can download it from GitHub. If you install it in GitHub, it's going to be in whatever directory you choose to install it and compile it from. But in this instance, on Kali, it's actually in user share Metasploit Framework. And so if we go look in that directory, which I'm already over here, what we'll see is we'll see the Metasploit command line. We're going to see some Metasploit, all the different Metasploit updates. So there's a number of things in here. And that's going to lead real quick into a little bit more, some more basic Metasploit. Let's see. More basic. Here we go. DB status, I talked about that, getting that stuff going. OK, here we go. The directory structure. So we can look at it from here, or we can look at it inside of the Metasploit interpreter itself. So just so you're aware, we'll just run through these real quick. Auxiliary is going to be things that are like scanners. They're going to be things that are auxiliary to attacks. They're not the primary attack mechanism. Then once you have the type, so like, for example, if we want to do a network scan, then we'd have the application. What is the application of that scan? Is it a web scanner? Is it a port scanner? And then after that, we have the name of that scanner, and that's how it's laid out. They typically have that. Encoders are another type. When you're doing an exploitation, sometimes you can't just send it the regular data in, like, let's just say, like a bash script, because maybe it doesn't accept ASCII characters. So then we have to encode it. So encoding allows us to be able to specify an encoding scheme based on the CPU architecture and then the name of that encoding. Exploits. Exploits are the juicy part. Exploits are organized by the operating system, what type of exploit they are, and then the exploit name. And then payloads. Payloads are the result of payloads are what we're trying to put into the exploit so that we can leverage that exploit, so we can get something out of it. So the payload, those again follow a very similar path of the exploits. We have OS, but it's dependent on the architecture. And then you also will have if it's a meterpreter or a shell name. So meterpreter is a pre-built set of commands that will interact with your Metasploit Framework console command line, and so you can stream data a lot easier. Whereas sometimes you'll use a shell command that just opens a TCP port, and then you would have to build additional data traversal back and forth yourself. But there's been a lot of work done on Meterpreter to do a lot of those tasks for you, and you'll see when we get to it here in a second about how easy it makes things. Who knows about NOPs? What are NOPs? A couple guys, somebody raise it out. Dude, I got a prize for NOPs. Nemus. Here you go, buddy. What is the point of a NOP, Nemus?
To continue on to the next operation.
Right. So it stalls the processor from doing anything but to move to the next operation. Why are NOPs important? The reason is because sometimes we have space in memory that we need to fill. We need to put something in there. The classic is buffer overflows. Everyone's familiar with buffer overflows, right? It's 101 stuff on this. So a buffer overflow happens, but if you don't have the right amount of padding in there, you will crash. You'll have a seg fault, and then that will cause the program to crash. So what you'll do is you'll take and put a buffer of no operations until it gets to your executed pointer to where your function is. That's your shell code that would then execute. So they call that a NOP sled. That's one of the very first things that you'll typically hear about when you first learn about buffer overflows is the NOP sled. I always wanted to join the NOP sled team. And then the last one, let's see, I'm trying to remember posts. Post. Oh, I'm retarded. Okay, post is post-exploitation. So after you exploit a server, after you plan a payload, how are we going to maintain access to that server? Because you don't want people installing updates. You don't want them adding firewall rules. You don't want them doing things. How are we going to maintain that access? So that's what the post directory has. It has a bunch of scripts in there. So basically, these are directories of a lot of scripts that we're going to use to cause some very, very bad havoc. All right, let's go down a little bit. I don't have it in presentation mode because I'm trying to be hybrid. There we go. Okay, so here's some usage examples. So these are actual usage examples. We'll go ahead and just copy and paste these and so you can get an example of how this works. And I'll describe what we're doing here. So in this instance, we're going to do use auxiliary scanner. We're going to do discovery, and we're going to do a UDP probe. So for that, I'm just going to paste that in over here. Oh, forgot I'm switching screens. So we got to, there we go. OK, so we're using a UDP probe. What's the advantage of a UDP probe? Connectionless, stateless. Right. So we're going to go look for information or computers or services that are running in the stateless that are UDP. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and say use auxiliary scanner, UDP probe. So now you'll notice the terminal changed, and it indicates that we're now in UDP probe mode. So now we're not sure what to do. How do we make this execute or do something? So the next thing we're going to do is whenever we have done a use command, the very next thing that I always do is show options, because this is going to tell us what are the options that this module has. So we're going to look at we're going to look at the items that we need to set. These are variables that we need to set to be able to execute this module. So in this instance, we have a C host, which is the local client host. We have an R host, the target range, or CIDR, or the net mask that we're trying to get, and the number of concurrent threads that we want to attack with. So how many of you have you used Nmap? Man, that's the third time I've said that bad today. I can't talk. So everybody in here has pretty much used Nmap. Nmap is like a Swiss Army knife of different network scannings. This tool, this script, is just a UDP scanner. So it'd be the same as doing, SU dash lowercase s capital U in Nmap. So it's the same thing. But the difference is the data that we get back from this, we can immediately use inside of our Metasploit shell, whereas the Nmap data, we'd have to import that data into our Postgres database. So it's all an integrated environment. It's an all-in-one tool. So in this example, I've got a VM running. I think it's still running here. All right. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I could give a whole range, but that could take a little bit of time. So I'm just going to go cheat and grab the IP address and just to show you that we're going to do. So how you set variables is set and then the C host. And now we'd put in the IP address, which I'll grab here real quick. On a normal situation.
Do you have tab completion on those options?
What do you mean?
So you said set CH tab, would that complete?
Yes. If I press the tab instead of 2. So if I put C in, then it tells me what are the available options. And it's per module, so it's nice. It always changes your scope to your per module. You can also set custom variables. So let's say you're working in something and you want to set a temporary information. You just temp, and then you could set a new variable right there. So it's pretty flexible. It's built on Ruby not on Rails, but it's built on Ruby and extremely open source, extremely friendly. The guys at Rapid7 and all the developers that are involved with it are awesome to work with and hit up for information when you don't know what you're doing. So let me grab this IP address real quick. So 10.0.2.15. OK, so now I've put that in here. The other thing you may note here is we've got, is it required? Is it required? We see chost is not required, but a subnet is, the range is. Let's see, remote host, chost, the client loop. So let's see, set our host. I think I've done this incorrectly. Let's see, show options. hosts. There we go. Show options. So I think, let's just try to execute. So then after, when you're ready to run the command, you exploit. And from there, we have we show that 100% complete. And I don't know, let's see, we're going to do show. Under the show command, I did show options before. Let me jump back here. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, apologize. Real quick, under the show command, you can see the different options there are. So we can show actions. We can show all, which is all the data that's stored in the database about our current session. We can show auxiliary. So in this instance, we just ran an auxiliary, so we want to show the auxiliary. So now I'm just going to do show auxiliary. And it's going to query the Postgres database, and it should come back quickly. There we go. And we should get information about what's going on here. A second. The window a little bit bigger here. Oh, these are, okay, so these are the available auxiliary options that we've got here. So we need to specify what we've got. So let's see, show options, payloads, plugins, posts, targets. Let me just do show all real quick. That's right. Okay, so show on these, this is going to show all of our options that we have in the system to run. So I thought it would just print the standard output here. Give me one sec here while this runs, this little thing. Okay. Oh, let's see. Run. It may just be that I'm not getting any data back, because I do believe it just shows what the command would be completed. So let me show you another example that we've got here. So these are a couple other examples. Let's see. I don't want to jump into these ones yet because I want to do that I've got a couple other things. I kind of just listed these out here. Let me hold on for 1 second. I apologize, I'm jumping around. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, these are the different ways you run the different commands. You can see the architecture, you can see the exploit, Windows, SMB, and then the name of the exploit. Who knows about MS 08067? It's, what? Oh, sweet. Okay, this is going to be fun. We'll get to that. Where are we at on time? Okay, we're going to get to that because that's going to be awesome. I mean, that's going to be the best takeaway that you guys are going to have, I'm pretty sure. So, and then you can see set payload. Now, payload's different. So in the previous screen, that's one thing I wanted to point it out here. On this previous screen, on payloads, it has the same directory architecture, but we didn't use payload. The reason for that is because we use a module or use an exploit, and then we set a payload to be embedded inside of it. So for example, here on this one, this is actually one we're going to be using in just a moment. We're going to do exploit Windows SMB MS 08067, and then we're going to set the payload to whatever payload we want. In this instance, I've set it to a reverse TCP. So this is going to open a TCP connection in Meterpreter back to my current session, so it's going to let me interact live with that current computer. Yeah, and it's pretty scary what it's going to be doing. Okay, so, all right. See, what I did is I got a little ahead of myself, so I went and jumped through some stuff. So now I'm going to back the truck up. I apologize really badly. And we're going to go through now the way that I usually will set up a session and how to begin an attack and when I'm doing an engagement. So one thing that happens is when you're working on this, you'll be working on multiple clients, or you'll be working on multiple things. I'm a crazy tab horse, so I'll have like 50 Google tabs open, or Chrome tabs, or Firefox tabs, whatever you want to call them, and I'll have millions of screens open. And so they've embedded this lovely ADHD feature called Workspace that allows us to segregate variables and everything for each workspace we're going to be working through. So real quick, we'll go over here, we'll set a new workspace. So the workspace, what it's doing is it's giving us a clean slate of the database that we can work in. I should have allocated more RAM, apparently. Go, go, go. There we go. OK, so workspace. And we can just do workspace real quick, and we'll see different ones in here. I've got default, I've got practice. We're going to do workspace-A. We're going to add a new one. We're going to do IAM, sure. And then we're going to do workspace. And now I've currently set my workspace to IAM. So any variables or anything that we had previously are going to be cleared, so we're back to a clean slate. We know that we're in this new target environment that we're going to deal with. So now we can use another thing that's really helpful when you're looking through it. Maybe you don't know what exploit you want to run. Maybe you don't know what you're trying to attack, other than the fact that maybe you have an Android device. So we do search Android. And let's figure out what we've got in here for Android. Android, maybe nothing, huh? There we go. Let's see what we've got. Easy Android, let's see. There we go. I know there's a couple things in here. Android content provider, file of disclosure. So an auxiliary, we can get an HTML file off of some Android phones. There's an exploit with that. And so we can search for different types of exploits we want to run. If we're doing search, and you can type in anything in here. So if we look at the search-h, it's going to tell us. We can look for a keyword that deals with the application that we want to run, the author, what the BID is, the CVE, the name, etc. And then the other thing is I already talked about set, I already talked about show. Sessions. Sessions are another thing that are nice in here. So sessions deal with, like before I talked about the interpreter reverse connection, maybe we want to just open a TCP session and have it listen. So if we do a session-L, that's going to leave whatever we type in here as, I don't have a current exploit running, but if I had executed an exploit and had it running, it would just be waiting there for somebody to connect back in. Has anyone ever done like a reverse VNC session where you have to connect back through, or a reverse SSH session? You guys have done some of that. So basically what you're doing is you're triggering it so that when somebody connects back across that existing connection. And that's the same thing here. So we'll have that open. And you can have multiple sessions available using the session keyword there, session 1, 2, 3, whichever. And you can switch between those quite easily. And now I want to go through kind of the methodology and the workflow. So you want to recon your target. Metasploit has a number of tools in here under the auxiliary to do reconnaissance. If we just do show auxiliary, we can see some of those. There's different scanners. They look for different vulnerabilities. There's web ones. There's ones for the server. There's ones looking for memory vulnerabilities, ports open, different types of headers. Back in the day, when I first started this, we used to call it banner grabbing. You would use netcat, and you would connect to a server, and you would try to get some sort of data out of it and figure out what its banner is. Its banner is its identification when you initiate a TCP session, for example. Sometimes UDP, you wouldn't get any banner because you had to send it some pertinent data because it's stateless. But TCP, on some cases, you would get a banner. For example, SMTP has a hello. Lots of different ones have their own custom banners. So that's the information we want to gather in recon. Once we get that kind of recon, then we know that we want to send an exploit. We look for the version number of the software. We look to see if it's a vulnerable version of the software. From there, we want to do a pivot. So let's say this is an external network, and we get to it, and we can't see anything on the inside, but we have a hunch there's something on the other side. Or maybe it's natted, or we have a hint that there might be something more there. So then we get a pivot. What a pivot means is that we're going to then use a first step exploit. So let's say we exploit a firewall. It has a HTTP bug. We get through that. And then once we're into that, we can then leverage that to send attacks onto the local LAN network. If we have enough time, I hope to make it through and show you guys some of those. And then the last step after you send exploits is persistence, finally pwned. All right, so I kind of wanted to set up a little scene today of kind of the idea of what we're looking for, or the attack, kind of things going on here. So you are a hacker. Target is lulzsec. They are suspected of taking copy, your boss's special videos, whatever that is. Gain access to their internal server and find evidence. So they've accessed your server. So with that in mind, let's get to the console.
Want to do computers?
All right, so since none of you guys have seen the MS-0867, we're going to go and we got to do that. Okay, so I have this pretty vanilla Windows XP Service Pack 3, nothing special about it. It's missing a couple updates, but not very many. So that's, you get an idea. Service Pack 3, everything's pretty neato on it. So what we're going to do is, I've kind of already bypassed the recon, because we'll just go into this because I really want to show you this bug, because this is what Metasploit's made for. Metasploit is really good at discovery, but it's excellent at exploits, excellent at shellcode, excellent at post. So we'll go over here. We're going to do use, we're going to do exploit, and I don't want to display all those. I know it's a Windows exploit, and then I know it's SMB exploit. Let's see. I keep pushing the wrong button. There we go. SMB type exploit. So you can just get an idea. Just me tabbing this, and some of these coming up, yeah, they're recurring, but there's a lot of exploits out there. There's a lot of things that you can run and test against your network. There's a lot of fun to be had here. So we're going to do the MS-0867 Net API. So that's what we're going to use. So like I said before, we're going to do show options. Take a look here. What are the options required? We need an R host, the remote host we're going to connect to, the port it's going to be connecting on 445. Who knows what 445 is? What? SMB. Yeah. It's not good to have SMB open on a Windows box. So also so you know, Windows 7 is vulnerable to this threat. I didn't have time to put together but this will work on a Windows 7 box. I don't know about Windows 8. Anybody know? No. Yeah, it's if you have SMB open, then it may be vulnerable. Okay.
We can find out for next time.
Yeah, or later tonight. Come find me. We'll go hack till the cows come home. All right. So set our host. We're gonna do 10.0.12.2, I think. 2.15. I was way off. Okay. So now that's all there is. So show options. Nothing else here. Everything else is full, but I need to set a payload. So let's see, what kind of payload do I want to use? Let's just do a meterpreter. Back on that window I had the meterpreter. Let's see, the meterpreter one with the reverse TCP connection. So it's a little more reliable going across the TCP, coming back in on meterpreter. So I'm going to do set payload to payloads, or when you do set payload, you don't have to put the payload in there. You just choose Windows, and then we're going to do a meterpreter. And then after that, we're going to do the, what did I say? Yeah, that's what I meant. Reverse TCP. Okay, so that payload is there. So one other thing that you can do with Metasploit is if we use a payload object, we can actually print a file and even make a binary, a Windows binary to run that is the payload, the shell code that would run on there, all from here. It's I think it's a little bit outside the scope of this topic, but we'll get into it next time for sure. You can generate your own shell code out of here. You can make customizations with the encode command to be able to make modifications to it. So you can take ASCII out of it. You can change all the characters, and it will still run the same. The binary still ends up being the same. They've done some amazing work on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do exploit now. lhost show options. What's that? Oh, hey, guess what happened? When you add a payload, you have new options you haven't filled out. So I I did reverse connection, because what that's going to do is, so we'll connect into the server, it'll exploit it, and then it should connect back, and then it will listen here. So then I would connect back into a port on my local computer. So reverse is actually not the one I wanted. I want to do just a regular bind, because I'm just going to do a one-way connection to the server at this point. We'll get into the reverse a little bit in just a few here. So I'm going to go this way. Oh, we need to do show options. And now I don't need the other remote, or the local port that it's going to be listening on, because I took it out and am doing it just as the bind on the other end. So I'm going to do exploit. Okay, so it's starting the exploit, and it's unreachable. Why are you unreachable? Did I change the network? I changed the network. So our first attempt at launching the exploit has failed, and so that happens sometimes. You have a network that's unreachable. So then this is where network discovery would come in. You'd be like, oh crap, I'm not hooked to that network. And you make some adjustments. And I believe in VMware Fusion, it is this one, and oh, sorry, bridged on Wi-Fi. Let's see, can I ping? Yes, Google, are you there? Somebody was talking smack about that earlier. Oh, I'm not. I'm on the wrong one. I was doing Wi-Fi earlier. I apologize. Got to do Ethernet. Hardwired for the win. All right, let's see what happens here. How many of you guys have used VMware Fusion? Quite a bit of you. VMware Fusion's really nice. You can do a lot of things on the fly with it, like changing Ethernet to be bridged. Let's see. Let's see if I can get to this guy now. You think I have to reset the network? All right, let's see what happens here. There we go. That was weird, wasn't typing. Okay, so let's check network here. I have no network. Probably Network Manager. Have you guys messed with Network Manager? Yeah, it is horrible. Let's see if that fixed it. Yeah, that's.
If you do DHC client, that should do 8.0. Just do DHC client, that should pull that 8.0.
With an argument of 0.
I've been having trouble with it myself.
Hey, we have an IP. Thanks, guys. Okay.
I have to do the same thing on your other VMware.
Nah, it's special. Special? See, I overspoke. Son of a. It's over. Well, I don't know where that's going on. Whoever's network I'm plugged into. Sorry. I didn't do it. Let's see. Oh, this should be fun. Okay. So now I'm going to, I reconfigured it, so you're probably right. You get a prize. Prize plus 1, if this works. Yeah, okay, this will work. 161.28.60. I had some custom bridge rules, but I was doing it over wireless when I was setting this up, and then I did hardwire because my wireless kept dropping. So, yeah, now we should be able to talk to each other. Oh, yeah, we're getting dupes and everything. Yeah, we're on the same adapter now. Okay, so now let's see what happens here. We need to reset some of our IPs over here. So we already got show options up there. We need to do set. We're going to do our host. And our host is going to be 161.28.62.24. And we're going to set our host. Wait, that might do it all. Yeah, so that did it all. Okay, so now we're going to exploit. Let's see what happens. Exploit, not exit. Okay, so it's communicating. We found its service pack 3. Boom, we found a vulnerability. All right, so it's attempting to trigger the vulnerability. And I believe we got it. Let me double click my notes. Automatically detected fingerprint, attempted to trigger the vulnerability. It may have not worked. Let's see. Bind to TCP.
You're bridged against the wired network?
Right now, yeah.
I've been trying to get into it and it hasn't been working.
The which?
The 224,
What are you connected through?
the wireless.
Oh, hey, it worked. Okay, so when we set over here, we want our local port to be 4,444. And if you'll notice, this computer now is running a open port on that. And if we do a netstat-b, APAB, I think, let's do it. Does Windows have N? So we don't have to enumerate host names. Go faster. Okay, so let's see. Where's my 4,444? Okay, right there. It's being ran right now through SVC host. So if we go in here and let's just see what happens real quick. I'm just going to grab this and do a netcat to 161.28.62.224 and 4444. Good grief. Fingers. There we go. And so I have an active TCP session. I don't have a handler on either end. So what that means is, what did I set as my payload? Did I forget to put interpreter in there? Nope, I got interpreter, bind, TCP. Maybe let's try a different payload and see if we can get a little bit more out of this session. Shall we? We should be able to get an entire command prompt as the system user out of it.
Did you set the local port or the remote port?
This port is the local port that's going to be listening on that machine. So I'm right now connected to that machine. I have an active TCP connection. And to show you that I do and that we have an exploit and right now we don't have a payload that's giving us anything very useful. So I'm going to go over here and do this again, and we should see me having a connection on 4,400. Let's see, listening or not. Maybe it's. I don't know what you're doing, man.
You have PSX.
On which? This?
On the Windows machine.
No, I don't have that on there.
You have a firewall on your colleague?
No, there's no firewalls in this situation. Let's try a different payload. Change the payload always will make things happier. Okay, so we're going to keep the exploit the same. Let's do set payload. And we're going to do, Windows. We're going to do Windows, and we're going to do interpreter. Let's see. Let's try reverse HTTP and see what happens. Okay, so we got a reverse HTTP in our payload, so now we're going to do exploit. Thank you. See, it's easy to forget these things. All right, so we need to set the lhost of our listener, and let's see, local listener. On this one, we're going to do set lhost. We're going to do 8080, and on this, I'm just going to do localhost. Should work. Exploit. All right. So now we should be able to exploit, and then on this local computer, the Kali system, we should have something we can connect into. Oh, let me move that. I keep all tabbing over to that. Okay, let's see. So we're going to do localhost, and it was port 8080. Well, what this? All right, let's see. Attempting. Let's see. Maybe it triggered it on the other end of this spectrum. Let's see. Let's do a netstat. See. I'm going to reboot this server because sometimes, like, what may have happened is I may have crashed this, and I'm getting results that look okay, but really, it's to the interpreter, it's not right. I think I may have foobarred this. And this is a problem that happens when you start running exploits on stuff. You start running into issues where all sorts of bad things happen. You have to reboot servers, reboot systems, and try them again. All right, let's see. So that should be back up again, shell code. All right, so back over here, let's take a look. Okay, we're going to do, let's go back to, our bind, it didn't really bind. So let's try the bind one more time. We're going to do show options. So we've got interpreter, when does bind. So now we've got that, exploit.
Mike, we're about at time. It's dinner next, so maybe people don't care if we go over, but.
Okay, yeah, if you guys want to go for dinner, that's fine with me. I'm going to get this, I'm going to get a root shell, I'm going to get a system shell here in just a second. All right, let's see what happens here.
Your computer may be a risk.
Yeah, right? Okay.
See if you can telnet back to that port on your Kali box.
On which one?
So from the Windows to the Kali over port 444.
Well, I'm not showing any connection on there. Hang on one sec here. Freaking A. Demos, man. Live demos. The demo gods, they get you.
Come down to the hackerspace in Salt Lake and we do this all day.
08678 API, exploit, show options. Let's see. 69, we got that.
It looks like port 4444 is open on the box.
Kali box.
On the
Windows box.
Windows box.
You try reverse.
Let me see. I'm missing one little step. I know it. Okay, let's see here. Let me pull up my cheat sheet real quick here. We'll get this.
Probably has a firewall and your machine's 224?
Mm-hmm.
I'm only seeing
Oh yeah, see the exploit's not even working because I'm missing a number of pieces out of the host.
well, this is the conflictor virus, right?
Yeah.
I thought that only worked on Service Pack 2.
Nope, it works clear up to Win 7.
Really?
Yep. Unless
I thought
my
they patched it
there is a patch for it, but you have to go download it.
manually, or did you auto?
Let's see. Hold on one sec here.
Just use RPC decom.
What's that?
I said just use RPC decom.
You know the credentials, you can do PS exec. I'm not seeing 445 open on your Windows box. Little Windows firewall. Keeping the world safe.
Yeah, 445's open. It's right there.
I'll do the
Okay, here we go. All right, let's see. Let's do set payload, reverse, TCP. Listen, I want the listen address. Oh, I know. Yeah, that's what I did wrong. Okay, so set lhost. I want it just to be open to the world. And let's exploit. Okay, let's see here. We've got.
Try the public IP for your local host. You might have to change the port on your local. It's already running on that system. It's local port. Maybe not on that same port.
Wait. So we have exploit. We've got the port listening. Okay. This is not. It should be opening me an interpreter. Damn it.
So set lhost to 161.
On the other one, is that what you think?
On the quality, so you're going to set lhost to 161.2.8.62.
Okay, say that again.
So set lhost to your public IP.
You're calling it.
Yeah, because it doesn't know how to get back.
Yeah.
Well, scan the target within it.
I gotcha. What is this one's IP?
That'll tell you the port's open.
That didn't copy and paste, now did it?
161.28.
Dot what?
35.
35. Try your. You have to change it for. So L14 4445. I think you exited one up.
Yeah.
One too many up arrows. One too many exit. Why did I type exit?
For my sanity, could you do a quick MF scan while you're waiting?
Of the what? 28?
Target, yeah.
Yeah, 1 sec.
So I'm wondering if like the network's blocking.
445 to egress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get 445 out of here.
But it shouldn't be going out of here. It's going to my local adapter, right?
And you're connecting to it over netstat, so it's not.
But it's not. It's hanging because I'm not actually seeing the completion of the session.
Well, your IP was wrong on the last time. You did 62 dot.
I see your RDP open,
Yeah, I can
but
see
I don't see
RDP.
anything besides RDP.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been trying to get it in the box the whole presentation. That might be the problem if you have too many connections. It might be showing.
Why don't we call it?
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone can believe that under normal network circumstances, you can probably see it. This volunteer probably wants to go get it.
Yeah. Go get your food, do your things. Yeah, sorry guys. Something weird's going on. I will find the answer and I will rectify it.
And you'll post it to what?
Oh, yeah. Let me get that real quick. Maybe I will get that. To the console. Palshack.org. Go check that out. There's some pretty cool stuff on there. Some cool vids. Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry guys. I'll get this figured out.
And if you guys, if any,
Fucking A.